Ravens fan, hold on tight because this is big. Justin Tucker could be on his way out of Baltimore. The NFL's greatest kicker is caught in a scandal that could force the team to make a tough decision. If the Ravens cut Tucker, the impact goes beyond the field. They lose an icon, face a financial issue, and question their disciplinary policy. But could this be affecting his performance already? And who could step in to replace him? This decision could change the team's future, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Stay until the end because this story is far from over. Go Ravens! This is one of those situations no one expected to see with the Ravens. Justin Tucker, one of the most respected players in the NFL and an iconic figure for the franchise, is now at the center of a scandal that could cost him his spot on the team. The allegations suggest that he has a troubling history with massage parlors in Baltimore, and if these accusations are true, the Ravens find themselves in a very delicate position. It's not just about the severity of the situation, but also the impact on the image of a team that has always prided itself on discipline and good conduct. Head coach John Harbaugh has been one of the biggest critics of Deshaun Watson's actions in Cleveland, and now he must deal with a very similar case within his own locker room. The big question is, how will the Ravens react? The zero-tolerance policy Harbaugh has always championed needs to be enforced, but when it involves a player like Tucker, things get more complicated. If it were a bench player, the cut would likely be immediate and without hesitation. But we're talking about one of the most important players in franchise history, someone who has won countless games for the team and is still seen as a key part of the squad. The external pressure for the team to take action has already begun, and any misstep in handling the situation could stain the team's reputation. Beyond the moral issue, there's the on-field impact. Tucker may be a kicker, but his importance goes far beyond that role. He's one of the most reliable players in the NFL and has secured impossible wins for the Ravens over the years. Letting go of a talent like that is no easy decision, especially when there's no clear replacement. So, how will the Ravens move forward? If cutting Justin Tucker were just about discipline, the decision might be easier. But in the NFL, everything comes down to money, and the financial consequences of cutting him could complicate things significantly for the Ravens. Tucker currently has a $6 million cap hit, making him one of the highest-paid kickers in the league. If the team decides to cut him immediately, without any strategy to minimize the damage, they would face a $7.5 million dead money hit in 2025, which is a considerable blow for a team that needs to manage its cap well. It's not just a moral issue, but a strategic challenge that could influence the team's future. One option is to wait until the start of the new league year in March to activate the CBA rule that allows them to split the financial hit across 2 years. With this strategy, the Ravens would pay $2.8 million in 2025 and $4.6 million in 2026, making the decision less painful in the short term. Cutting Tucker would also save them a non-guaranteed $4.2 million salary for 2025, which could be reinvested in other positions. However, even with this approach, the team would still be absorbing a significant loss to get rid of a kicker who, until recently, was seen as irreplaceable. Another factor to consider is that the Ravens are not in a financially comfortable position. The team already has large contracts filling up the cap, including Lamar Jackson, Roquan Smith, and Ronnie Stanley, and they need to renew contracts with key players for next season. A misstep at this moment could jeopardize the team's ability to reinforce weak spots and keep the roster competitive. The question remains, is it worth taking this financial hit just to reinforce the team's disciplinary image? Or will the Ravens hold on to Tucker and wait for the situation to cool down? As the financial side of the decision unfolds, the stakes only get higher. The 2023 season was a strange one for Justin Tucker. Despite being one of the most reliable kickers in the NFL, he had some uncharacteristic mistakes that raise questions. For a player who's always been synonymous with accuracy, any slip-up stands out, and now rumors are circulating that this decline could be directly tied to the scandal. If he knew these allegations were coming to light, it's possible that the pressure affected his performance. The mental side of the game is just as important as skill, and any distraction can be costly on the field. The numbers show that Tucker is still among the best in the league, but there's no denying that his performance dropped below his usual standard at crucial moments. Some missed field goals from distances that used to seem easy raised suspicions that something was off. He no longer seemed to have the same confidence as in previous years, and now, with the accusations out in the open, it makes sense to consider that off-field issues could have influenced his play. If this is true, the Ravens might feel that the best decision, beyond the disciplinary question, is to find a new kicker to prevent this instability from continuing to affect the team. The problem is, replacing Tucker isn't simple. We're talking about one of the best kickers in NFL history, a player who has won impossible games with his remarkable accuracy. Finding a reliable kicker is one of the biggest challenges in the NFL, and the Ravens know this better than anyone. Just remember the period before Tucker arrived, when the franchise struggled to find someone who could make crucial kicks. This brings us to another crucial point, the Ravens' disciplinary policy. Harbaugh has always been adamant that the team doesn't tolerate this kind of behavior. But does that rule apply to all players? Or is the franchise willing to make an exception for one of their greatest stars? As the team grapples with this question, the clock is ticking on their decision. We've passed the halfway point of the video, but before we continue, I notice you haven't hit that like button yet. It's really important for the YouTube algorithm to keep promoting my content to you. So please go ahead and leave a like. It's free. Thanks. Let's get back to it. John Harbaugh has never hidden his opinion on players with off-field issues. He was one of the most vocal critics of Deshaun Watson when the quarterback was accused of misconduct in Cleveland, emphasizing that the Ravens had a different standard and would not accept such behavior within the franchise. But now, with Justin Tucker at the center of a similar scandal, the words of the past may come back to haunt the team. If the Ravens decide to keep him, it will be impossible to avoid comparisons and accusations of hypocrisy. After all, does the rule apply to everyone, or only when it's convenient? This kind of situation can create internal problems. Players pay attention to how the franchise handles cases like this, and inconsistent decisions can affect the locker room. If a backup player were accused of the same behavior, they would be cut immediately. So why should it be different with Tucker? The team needs to be careful not to lose the trust of the roster and not send a message that certain players are given special treatment. Furthermore, the Ravens are a team that built their reputation on discipline and a strong identity within the league. How they handle this case could influence not only what happens on the field, but also the long-term image of the franchise. If they decide to keep Tucker, they will have to justify the choice to fans and sponsors, who may not accept a lenient stance in the face of the accusation. If they opt to cut him, they will need to explain why it took so long to make that decision. And this brings us to one last question. What will the Ravens do next? Will they hold on to Tucker and stand by the decision, even knowing the controversy won't disappear anytime soon? Or will they cut the player and move on, despite the financial and sporting impact? The answer to this question could define not only the future of the kicker position, but also the credibility of the franchise in the coming years. Now, the Ravens need to make a tough decision. Keeping Justin Tucker means dealing with media pressure, criticism, and the impact the situation could have within the locker room. Cutting him could be a correct move from a disciplinary standpoint, but it would also bring a significant financial loss and leave the team without a clear solution for the kicker position. Every choice has its consequences, and the Ravens need to weigh all of this before making a final decision. If the franchise opts for the cut, the best strategy would be to wait until March to minimize the salary cap impact. This way, the dead money would be spread over 2 years, and the team would still save the 2025 salary. However, this wouldn't solve the main issue. Who would take over the position? Finding a reliable kicker isn't easy, and the last thing the Ravens want is to enter the season without a solid solution for one of the most important positions on the team. Another option would be to keep Tucker and bet that he can still perform at a high level. But this decision comes with a price. The franchise would have to deal with constant pressure regarding its disciplinary stance and criticism from those who see this choice as a sign of inconsistency. Ravens fans have always been proud of how the team handles off-field issues, but this case may change that perception. Regardless of the decision, the Ravens need to act quickly. Letting the situation drag on only increases uncertainty and could further affect the team environment. The franchise is facing one of its most delicate moments in recent years, and the choice they make now will echo for a long time. So, Ravens fan, now you understand the magnitude of the impact Justin Tucker's potential departure could have on the team. The greatest kicker in NFL history involved in a scandal, Harbaugh's zero-tolerance policy being tested, and the financial question of cutting a player of this caliber. The consequences could be huge, both on and off the field. So, what do you think? Should the Ravens move on and cut Tucker, or try to resolve the situation in another way? I want to know your opinion, so don't forget to comment below. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything about the Ravens. See you next time